Holistic data is important because the major stakeholders in cities are government, businesses, and citizens, and they all have different data associated with them. Government data sets can be both static and dynamic. Private company or commercial industry data sets can range from cable operator data to utility data to the telcos. So all of them have control over different assets in the city, and yet you can't operate holistically without being able to consider all of their contributions. And then you have citizens. Today with mobile devices, every citizen is effectively a sensor. So citizens can do everything from report crime to report damaged infrastructure to report traffic problems and through their mobile devices. And you can also communicate to citizens through their mobile devices. So being able to connect these different stakeholders into a single picture through some unifying platform is really, I think, the way that cities can get smarter. Platform technologies are a good way. Often they involve helping to enable agencies to bring their data out of a silo and to turn it into a format which is more usable. Some solutions would involve web portals, for example, that take static data and put it into effectively a sophisticated website so that we can just go see it online through an HTML page. Other solutions get a little bit more complicated and enable that data to be visualized using more complex tools. We've taken the approach that if we can convert that data into an intuitive metaphor, we can take very complicated, say, machine-to-machine data that if seen as a tabular entry could be very complicated and difficult for almost anybody to understand, although it's accurate. But we turn it into a simple visual metaphor, for example, a red, yellow, or green indicator in a building model. You will easily recognize that a building or a floor in a building rendered in red will have a problem. And then you can point and click on those types of, or those objects in the model and then drill down into the more expert information. So I think that what we've created is a solution that enables that complex data to become really simple and easy to use. A wonderful example is a couple of projects I'm aware of, but certainly one I referenced earlier in the city of Chicago, where an organization has been formed called UI Labs, which takes or is a body of the major universities in the city that have pulled together a group of stakeholders that includes the academic institutions, agencies of government, and private companies, large commercial organizations, to contribute towards a shared project. The idea being that everybody has a stake in this. The cable companies will benefit from having a coordinated city model. The CTA, the Chicago Transit Authority, will benefit from having a coordinated underground model. The infrastructure department of the city of Chicago will benefit from having a coordinated model. So every stakeholder has now realized that they all have the same disadvantage, which was bad access to data. If we can create a single consolidated, coordinated model, everybody benefits at the same time. So the project has actually pulled all these stakeholders together, and which traditionally do not collaborate. I mean, they kind of have an arm's length at best relationship, into around the same table to discuss and openly create effectively what is a collaborative platform to create a coordinated model for the entire city. And that's where I think all cities should go. Well, different companies are doing different things. There are a number of companies in the energy management space, is a great example, that are taking data that relates to building performance with very specific elements such as chiller performance and UV ratings and electricity consumption, and making that available to the city so the city can begin to see how these different buildings are performing and can legislate accordingly. It's important for the private sector to continue to do that and to grow those activities because they have wonderful tools for creating great data. The city, I think, needs to encourage more and more private companies to expand their operations and their projects in these cities because their tools tend to be quite effective and scalable. To the extent to which the city can leverage the data of the private sector, it will only be to their benefit. They can combine that with their existing data and have a pretty good picture then between the two of them what's happening in the city at any moment in time. Cityzenith has developed a unique approach to managing and optimizing the use of data in cities through a platform technology that we call 5D Smart City. And that technology leverages the interface of a 3D visual model of the city to become the point of consolidation and aggregation for data in cities. We do that because the built environment itself is immediately recognizable to all stakeholders, whether they are the mayor, a citizen walking on the street, an official within a particular agency of government. So we found a really strong metaphor for that was universally accessible and appealing to different stakeholders who are looking for data. So we created a model wherein every object became a data object itself. And by doing that, we could actually combine all the different data sources in the city into a much more holistic picture that would enable better collaboration between cities, between agencies of government in cities, between the private sector and agencies of government in cities, even between government companies and private citizens. We have effectively created a tool that democratizes city data across all of those stakeholders and creates an entirely new ecosystem for creating solutions for smart cities.